Welcome to the Cloud Pod, where the forecast is always cloudy. We talk weekly about all things AWS, GCP, and Azure. We are your hosts,
Justin,
Jonathan,
Ryan,
and Peter.
Cloud security monitoring and logging tools are useful for watching over the security health of your cloud infrastructure. But these tools often lack the awareness and context of your data in the cloud. And if you handle confidential, personal, or other regulated data, the inability to protect that data could be devastating to your business. Listen later to learn how OpenRaven helps protect you from sensitive data loss before it's too late.
Episode 104, recorded on February 10th, 2021. The Cloud Pod gets introspection capabilities, but won't use them. Good evening, Ryan, Peter, and Jonathan.
Hello.
Hey.
It is another fantastic week here in the cloud world, once again. We have not a lot of news from Amazon, though, for a change, which, it's kind of a weird time, I guess, for Amazon. They're just still in the holiday lull. But Google has made up for that, so we still have like an hour show here, probably, how this will work out when we get all done with this, but it's good. Well, first up, we talked about last week the Amazon earnings, as well as Google and Microsoft. But one of the things that we overlooked because we were too busy talking about how Andy was getting replaced is that the AWS Other Segment, which includes its advertising business, is on pace to rivals AWS in terms of revenue growth. So basically in the fourth quarter, the Other Segment grew steadily year over year, ranging from 41 to 49%, and in Q4 was 64% or $7.95 billion, which puts it on track to surpass AWS as the largest revenue growth in the company, which I thought was kind of interesting. There was some speculation that this might get broken out in the future once Andy takes over as CEO. This is maybe his coming out party to the Wall Street, as he shows how much money they're actually making on ad revenue, which is very interesting business, actually, when you think about where they're selling ads, which is on the store.
Yeah. Two competitors who are selling competing products on their store, which is awesome.
Okay, so when I read this is AWS Other, I wasn't sure if it was actually the Amazon.
I think it's the Amazon Other, not
Amazon
AWS Other.
It's
okay.
Amazon.
So that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, so this is basically all the sponsored marketplace stuff. So when you pay money to have your marketplace item listed higher than other people, or you're targeting certain people with your products for that through Amazon's marketing campaign, that's what you get. You get basically ability to now compete with other people selling the exact same product as you do with advertising in the Amazon.com store. And that person you're competing with most of the time is Amazon themselves. So
I got to say, it worked for me recently. I bought a coffee grinder, and I don't know which coffee grinder to buy. And I went on there, and there was like the Amazon Best Choice. And there was the user's favorites. And I ended up buying the one that had the super cool video right there in the middle of the screen, sponsored video. It working, but it caught my eye, and then I read the reviews. I'm like, yeah, it looks awesome. Yeah. And I bought it.
They are the new QVC.
Really, it is. It was exactly. And I made fun of them for years.
It sort of feels like it's a little bit of Amazon's way of actually making sure you're not using Amazon Prime, because a lot of those advertised deals are not Prime deals, which you don't get shipped as fast. So watch out for that. Well, in other news, there's a site that every Amazon user is very familiar with, especially if they're ever doing anything with costs. And we use it here quite often here on the Cloud Pod. Every time a new instance comes out, we go out to EC2 Instances.info and we find out how much an instance costs on a monthly basis or by our eyes. And it has a lot of great utility because it's basically a simple spreadsheet that you can sort and search and do all the things that you can't actually do on Amazon's website, which is super annoying without going to two different sections, one for cost and the other one for the specs. They're not actually on the same page on the Amazon website, which makes no sense. So a long time ago, EC2 Instances.info popped up in the world. That's where everyone kind of started going to. And it has been announced that they have been acquired by Vantage. Vantage markets themselves as an alternative AWS console with pricing cost data apparently built right into the console. My assessment is that they're basically an Amazon console with an illicit affair with Cloud Health that came out with a console that basically just gives you pricing information. So you can't actually do anything like spin up new infrastructure there, but it gives you basically the same UI as Amazon, but it says this EC2 instance is costing you $12,000 and this is only costing you $500 in the same thing, which is nice. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad service. It's also not priced like Cloud Health is, which is nice. So it's not a percentage of your spend or $50,000 a month, but it does have the dreaded paywall to contact them if you're spending more than $50,000 a month in Amazon spend. Otherwise, it's very attractive if you're looking for a tool. They contend that a customer always wants a simpler way to interact with infrastructure, and they need a way to understand cloud costs and business decisions. And in working with their customers, they found that they didn't need their product because they were just using EC2 Instances.info. And so they basically said they should just buy them, which is what they did. They're saying they will not destroy it, they will not mess it up, and they hope not, because I use that site all the time. Garrett Heaton, who originally created the site as a side project, is glad to see Vantage invest in the site as well as to help people control their costs.
Well, damn, if I thought someone was going to buy it, I would have built it myself.
I mean, the code's been available on GitHub forever.
Yeah.
I'm super interested to hear how much they paid for it.
It'll never tell us.
I mean, it probably was they gave Garrett Heaton a job, a real paycheck just to focus on it. That's probably the acquisition. I don't know. Definitely, I hope they don't mess with it because it's something I use all the time, and I know others use all the time. So there are some alternatives out there. I don't remember the URLs; they're not as catchy. Oh, also, they are redirecting EC2.instances.info now to their new URL, which is going to be EC2Instances.vantage.something. So it's already rolling right off the tongue. I already remember it immediately, as you can tell.
As long as they keep that redirect in there.
Yeah, exactly. I just need that. Exactly. Instances.vantage.sh. I'll never recall.
It'd be nice if there was a browser plugin for it, actually, just so you could add it to the column of like EC2 info or add it to all the resource pages, just have the price right there in the Amazon console.
I mean, if I was to have been Vantage and looking at how I was going to solve this problem, that's how I would have done it. But,
could still do it.
I could have created a separate console because I like to have UIs.
It is funny. This did force me to think about how much I use that, because before this, it was just something I did sort of normal. Like, this is how I learned to do EC2 pricing. Now it's like, no, I'd be sort of crippled without this.
I'll teach you how to use the docs. Don't worry. It's not that hard.
I know where they are.
Like Ian, who could write a plugin for us to do the pricing information right there in the browser. That would be...
we should reach out to him. I bet he could make that happen for you.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to other AWS news. If you are an Amazon Outpost user, we'd love to hear from you, first of all, because we like to hear how your days are going with Outposts. So do ping us on our website. But if you are a user and you are annoyed that you can't take snapshots locally, because when you do take snapshots currently, you would go to S3 of whatever region the Outpost was tied to. If you have S3 enabled in your Outpost and have the storage for it, you can now do that locally, which is very nice. So you can now take your local snapshot of your EBS volume, make sure it stays in the resident, in the country where the data outpost is, and you now meet all those data residency and local backup requirements. This is all available for all outposts with provisioned S3 on them, and it uses the normal charging as always.
You kind of think if it was tied to a local region anyway, that region would already be okay for data residency, but whatever.
Well, I was looking at, in Asia particularly, let's say you wanted to put an outpost into South Korea, for example, right? Well, they don't have a region in Korea, so you'd have to put your region in Singapore. Singapore is kind of a weird thing for some countries because of the way that the government set up in Singapore. And so, yes, the control panel might be in Singapore, but at least the outpost itself would be inside of Korea. And so that'd be fine until you had to back up your data now into Singapore. That might now violate some law that Korea has for that particular data. So that's the type of use case you're looking at here.
Isn't it like starting a video game from scratch when you've been playing forever and you've built up all of the weapons and the town and everything you need, and then you have to start from scratch all over again? Outposts, local snapshots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God. I'm waiting. Now supports tagging.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And wait until it has VPC attachment in the outpost. I look forward to that one too. Well, first we had reserved instances, and then we had that really weird time where we had to determine if our instances were low utilization, medium utilization, or high utilization. And then Amazon figured that was terrible. And then we had no upfront and partial upfront and full upfront. And then they gave a savings plan, which got rid of all of that complexity. But we still have RDSRI and all those kinds of things. And now we have a new one for you. This is the new CloudFront Security Savings Bundle. Rolls right off the tongue. The savings bundle is exactly what you think it might be. It is a savings on your CloudFront bill, but it's a bundle because they're giving you WAF for free as part of the deal. So a savings bundle gives you a flexible self-service pricing plan that helps you save up to 30% on your CloudFront bill in exchange for monthly spend commit for a 1-year term. And then as part of that 1-year term, they'll give you 10% of that committed spend as free WAF credits. So in this example here, they gave us, if you committed to $70 a month in spend on CloudFront, you get $100 of CloudFront coverage plus $7 worth of WAF coverage, which would cover 11.6 million WAF requests. All for you, available now in a very complicated savings bundle mechanism, which I appreciate the CloudFront savings. I'm not so sure I feel about the bundle, but glad to see there's something, because I always thought it was weird you couldn't save money on CloudFront.
I feel like this was designed specifically after learning the competitive landscape of competing directly against Cloudflare or others and putting something together that enables their sales team to go out and just win that business straight away.
Is that something you're seeing a lot of, is people using Cloudflare because of its WAF capabilities?
Well, I mean, I see people using Cloudflare a lot, definitely. And then I see the sort of significant number of customers who see benefit in just sticking with one vendor. And it's like AWS has a a CDN and a WAF, so I'm going with that because that's my strategy. But I could see their sales team having a wealth of examples of where they've won and where they've lost against a company like Cloudflare. And hey, if we put this specific plan together, we're going to win all of them.
Interesting. I am still just glad to have it. I like savings. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Competition.
Yeah. Jonathan, I expect, you're going to include this in your spreadsheet for savings. So.
I was thinking data egress is pretty expensive in general, so it's not really a huge saving.
Well, but CloudFront's ingress. It's not egress.
It is. It's going out.
Egress.
Yeah, egress. S3 to CloudFront to whatever through the edge locations, but it's not cheap. It's like still 8 or 9 cents per gig for traffic out. So, I mean, you're not going to get much for your $70 or your $100.
Interesting. All right, moving to GCP. You can now troubleshoot Spanner with new introspection capabilities. Cloud Spanner has been adding new introspection capabilities that allow you to easily monitor database performance, diagnose and fix potential issues, and optimize the overall efficiency of your application. With the recently launched introspection tools in the form of built-in tables that you can query to gain helpful insights about Operation Spanner, such as queries, reads, and transactions, you can now troubleshoot your Spanner instance much, much faster. These also integrate into existing monitoring tools like the Cloud Monitoring Console, and you can dive and slice this data any way you want to across different time periods or different measurement critiques.
I would waste so much time. If I was a Cloud Spanner customer, I'd do nothing besides just looking at different timescales and comparing. And great. I love these types of tools.
I mean, SQL servers had introspection tables for a long time. You don't use those for anything.
No, because they're on SQL Server. That's correct.
But you could do this now with SQL Server, as I'm telling you. You didn't have to wait for Spanner to get it.
I would have no time if I did SQL Server because I'd be doing other things.
Years ago, SQL Server had the local snapshots.
Do they have local snapshots natively? I don't think they do.
I'm just kidding.
I think Windows maybe has snapshots barely. They don't tag you.
It's always a slight problem when you need to troubleshoot, but it's too busy to give you the data out of the dynamic views and things like that too. So I'd much rather have the metrics published somewhere else, introspective tables, but it's great when it's working.
I mean, you can always query those tables and write it to another database. And then you can write that to S3 or to a data lake, and then you could then use Hadoop to then take that data and then reprocess it and then put it into BigQuery, and then I would get a magical table view that you would want. So you could totally do it.
That kicks the little ball into the mouse. And
yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, you get there. It just takes some creativity, that's all.
I like that you added S3 to that one.
Since you were so anti-multi-cloud. I couldn't remember the name of Google's object storage at the moment. Which is funny because I think it's Google Object Store. So
it sticks in the memory.
Yeah, it just rolls off the tongue. I mean, it's better than blob storage. So
I don't know. You wouldn't have forgotten blob storage.
I would not have forgotten it. That's true. I would have forgotten if it was ultra or premium blob storage, though. That I would have forgotten.
Hey everyone, Jonathan here. I just wanted to take a minute to thank the cloud consulting gurus at Foghorn for helping make the Cloud Pod possible. These folks truly get it. Cloud consulting experts since 2008, they are premier tier partners with AWS, Google Cloud Platform Silver, and Microsoft Azure partners. From multi-cloud to containers to moving full production workloads to the cloud under the tightest compliance, Foghorn's team of full-stack cloud engineers have been there, done that, gotten the t-shirt, and are ready to share their experience with you. If you're in the market for some talent to supplement your team, visit www.fogops.io/thecloudpod. www.fogops.io/thecloudpod. Foghorn, the promise of cloud delivered.
Well, if you're an Apigee customer, you know that they got bought by Google a couple years ago, and they've been slowly moving Apigee features into Google Cloud. And so they are here to announce the next step of digital excellence with the introduction of Apigee X. APIs are the backbone of digital transformation to help organize and navigate that. Google is launching Apigee X. Apigee X is a major release of their API management platform and seamlessly weaves together Google Cloud, AI, security, and networking to help enterprises manage their digital transformation assets. Man, anytime that Google does a press release, their buzzword bingo is on point. I will tell you right now. The new features of Apigee X: global reach with high performance and reliability, leveraging the power of the Google Cloud CDN to maximize availability and performance for APIs globally. And customers can deploy their APIs across 24 Google Cloud regions and enhance caching at more than 100 locations. They're giving a multi-layer security and privacy capability with integration with Cloud Armor, or their WAF product, for enhanced API security, and IAM for authenticating and authorizing access to the Apigee platform and the APIs. You can also leverage your own custom encryption keys to provide greater levels of control and leverage the capabilities of other VPC service controls. And then if you want AI, because that is the buzzword bingo of the day, You get AI-powered automation. With the increased adoption of APIs, the need to scale and secure them is building pressure on operations and security teams. Apigee X uses AI and ML capabilities and historical API metadata to autonomously identify anomalies, predict traffic for peak seasons, and ensure APIs adhere to compliance requirements, which is great that it recognizes all that stuff, but can you take some action when you recognize those things? Yeah. Like, can you do something with the data, or you just tell me about it? Well, if you had looked at the dashboard, you would know you should have scaled that up 3 hours ago, but we didn't do it for you.
What is it with X, though, seriously? Like, they've skipped over version 6, 7, 8, 9 and gone straight to X. I mean, I get Mac OS X. At least that followed on from 9, but I wonder if the Greeks actually realized the trouble they were going to cause when they had the letter X.
Well, maybe it was just they skipped T, U, V, and W.
Why? I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, it also feels like 5 years too late, or even longer, right? Like, because it was, a little while ago, everything was coming out with their X versions.
Yeah.
Jenkins X, like,
that's right, Jenkins X. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the whole Pentium thing where they suddenly realized they couldn't trademark numbers anymore and started coming up with names for their chips instead of using like 486, 586, 686.
Beginning of the end.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I always wondered why it's a Haswell or whatever,
That and Intel Inside, beginning of the end. Yep.
Well, if you are using Cloud Data Fusion, which allows you to basically manage ETL jobs, think Glue, but for Google. This is Glue for Google. You can now get the ability to use a public preview of a new replication feature in Data Fusion that enables low latency, real-time data replication from transactional and operational databases such as SQL Server or MySQL directly into BigQuery. This removes technical bottlenecks, so even citizen developers can use replication easily. By the way, citizen developers are what they're calling no-code people.
That's very clever.
Yeah, it's well done, isn't it? The simple wizard-driven interface enables a standard, easy-to-use interface, limiting the need for the development of complicated, bespoke tools for each type of operational database, thereby enabling self-service continuous replication of data to BigQuery. It also provides feasibility assessments and actionable recommendations, allowing you to quickly identify schema incompatibilities, connectivity issues, and missing features prior to doing your no-code work and knowing when you need a non-citizen developer to help you with your problem. You can also easily access the latest operational data and real-time analysis via the change data capture capability, which provides a representation of data that has changed in a stream, allowing computations and processing to focus specifically on one of the most recently changed records. Enterprise scalability, end-to-end operational visibility, and native integration to Google VPCs and CMEK. There you go. All for your citizen developers to get their ETL on.
I hate that term. I don't care about the rest of this product release, but that's such an obnoxious way to refer to people, especially when you prefix it with even citizen developers.
Yeah.
I always really dislike, people like you need things like this.
I just picture people who only read the comic section of the newspaper. I can't read the words. I just need the pictures. Give me the pictures.
Yeah. I also like the fact they call that any other thing that a non-citizen developer does is bespoke. Like, it's some totally hoity-toity hipster thing. Like, oh, you need the bespoke version of that. Like, God. Again, I mentioned earlier that Google's buzzword bingo on these things are just crazy. This is what I'm talking about. Citizen developers.
The only thing they could have done worse is like adding and democratizing somehow, into those things. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's probably in the next press release,
All right, or I just cut it out because I just couldn't.
Yeah, it's like I can't take it. It's too many.
There's a point where you're reading through the press release and you're just like, why can't you just tell me what you're releasing? Why do I need all this wrapper fuzz? This is why we do this for you here at the Cloud Pod, so you don't have to go through these press releases and feel the pain that I feel for all of you. And then, we can just make fun of it, which is much more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is drag and drop, transform of your data. Done.
Yep, with a WYSIWYG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, if you are an assured workload customer, and for those of you who don't remember what assured workload is, because I was confused that this was the other secure workload thing, but this is not. This is the one that allows you to ensure that your data is only processed in the US, as well as only Google personnel who meet criteria based on geographical access location, background checks, and being a US person can support this workload.
So citizen workloads is what you're saying. I see
apparently
a theme
here. Yeah. So if you were paying this premium price for assured workloads to basically make sure that no one who was not an American was using or accessing your servers because you potentially were a government customer that you need to protect that data, if you called support, you would still get offloaded to some third world country potentially. And so now the new assured workload support makes sure that you get an American in America to help you with your issue in America. And so that's what this now is available for you. And you get this with your GA for premium support customers who want to pay a premium to their premium support customers. So it's almost like ultra premium support.
Premium.
And assured workload support is a value-added service to premium support. We're available 24/7 by a U.S. person in a U.S. location. So not even a U.S. person overseas, has to be in a U.S. location. And Google looks forward to expanding this to other regions beyond the U.S. later in the year, where they have things like British people can only talk to British people, and French people can only talk to French people, and all the other ways that we continue to not have a boilerplate, a boiling ocean of people. So there you go.
Interesting. It's like the counter swing to globalization and the age-old call center jokes, and it's surprising.
Sometimes, though, it's a little value subtract. I think, although I love U.S. support, I think my two favorite countries to get support from are Australia and the Philippines.
Australia.
They always get such good support.
Yeah, fantastic support
from them.
Anytime.
Amsterdam actually is pretty good too.
Yeah, a lot of the Eastern Europe countries get pretty good support. So
yeah,
and
kind of
it's
missing
fun.
out. But I mean, sometimes I guess you have to.
Yeah. And I don't know, I find it fun, the colloquialisms and some of the sayings, like, it's more exposure to culture that I don't see in my day-to-day. So it's great.
We started on Amazon back in the early 2010s. We would always wait for our tough support calls, and then we'd call in. We'd wait till after 4 p.m. because we knew we'd get the Sydney group, and they'd always be able to help us.
That sometimes still works. I have that in my mind where I'm like, if it's close, I'll wait.
Yeah, totally.
Just roll the dice on that. And because they're like, good day, mate. And you're like, yes.
Yeah. They put you on hold and you hear typing going on in the background with people trying code. It was awesome.
I always like when I get a good Canadian. He's doing a screen share with you, and he's like, "Can you click on that there, A?" Yeah. I can do that. Not a problem. Well, speaking about multicultural and all that, Google is thrilled to say bonjour to the Do Not Submarine cable system, which was deployed and tested and is apparently ready for service. This is a new cross the Atlantic Ocean line for telco between Virginia Beach in the U.S. and Saint-Hilaire-des-Riez in the French Atlantic coast. The system expands Google's global network to add dedicated capacity, diversity, and resilience while enabling interconnection to the network infrastructure in the region. The line is named after Henry Dunant, the founder of the Red Cross and the first recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. This line is actually special. It's not like other ones that exist in the world. This line is the first to feature a 12-fiber pair space division multiplexing design and will deliver a record-breaking capacity of 250 terabits per second across the ocean, enough to transmit the entire digitized Library of Congress 3 times every second. The increased cable capacity is delivered in a cost-effective manner with additional fiber pairs, 12 rather than the 6 or 8 in a typical cable, and power-optimized repeater designs. Previous generations of subsea cables relied on dedicated set of pump lasers to amplify each fiber pair, while the SDM technology allows pump lasers and associated optical components to be shared among multiple fiber pairs, and this pump sharing technology enables more fibers within that cable.
Doesn't it feel like you should just do 1,000 fiber pairs while you're at it?
Maybe I should just run multiple lines just to be safe.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's expensive. Getting on the boat with a big reel of fiber and splicing the thing together and dropping it down to the bottom of the ocean, that's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I was wondering how they power the repeaters, because they sync down with the cable down to the bottom of the ocean, and then do they have like a solar array that goes up, or do they use currents to power
on a
generator?
buoy? Yeah.
Well, actually, a little curious more about that part of the whole article than anything. Mm-hmm. They didn't talk about that, so it's sort of sad.
Yeah, because even running power down the line wouldn't work due to voltage drop, I assume.
Correct. It would eventually deplete.
Yeah.
Someone knows that.
Maybe they use solar power. Maybe they shine lasers down the line, because they're already shining lasers down the line.
Huh. Isn't it? You only have so much.
That's what it is.
There's loss.
It is a laser down the line.
It is a laser. I could, but it's still you only go so far. There's only so much power behind that laser.
Stay tuned to the next episode where we've all gone 6 hours down a Wikipedia hole trying to figure out how they're
trying to answer the
question. 3 more months of pandemic, and this is just going to be garble.
Yeah.
We're getting close to that.
No, they send the power down the line in copper wires.
Yeah, really.
There's really not much other option.
Is that official? Is that your answer?
That's my answer. You can Google it if you like.
I mean, that's a lot of power to still. You still have to repeat that power. Do you put transformers in? They
must just pump it through an extremely high voltage then.
I mean, it has to be. Then
think about it. We've got cross-country cables and telco cables and things, hundreds of miles of long electric cables. It's no big deal. Just got a big, thick piece of copper down the middle of the fiber.
Yeah, I mean, I have transformers outside my house that blow up sometimes. I don't know how I feel about this. Well, Azure has got a couple things for us this week as well. The first up is the Azure Defender for App Services is now introducing the dangling DNS protection detection feature. The Azure Defender has added support to detect dangling DNS, where this is an issue where the site hosted a particular domain no longer exists and can potentially be compromised by an attacker. This is common in cloud infrastructure, as oftentimes the components that receive requests are highly multi-tenant and respond to requests for DNS. Azure Defender for App Services analyzes internal app service logs to identify attacks across multiple targets and systems in Azure. And if you have previously bound a custom domain to the app service, Azure Defender will now detect when you have removed the domain and no longer have them associated. This covers Azure DNS managed domains as well as those managed at external domain registrars. And they can detect if even when it's not in the CNAME itself and that is dangling, but a service further along the line is pointing to a decommissioned website that doesn't exist. Once identified, it'll give you an alert inside of Azure Defender and create a SOC ticket for your SOC team to take action and resolve.
Stop. Before anybody makes any jokes about dangling DNS protection, save it for the lightning round. I'm going to repeat this one there.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead. Comments.
Oh no, we're all waiting for the lightning right now.
Yeah.
Just no jokes.
Peter's just seeing us all like snicker and turn red on
Has
camera.
anyone seen one of these? Has anyone seen one of these attacks?
Yeah, we're kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a real one. I've seen
a red team version of it.
Yeah.
I've not seen a real version, but it is something that security people keep making a big deal out of. So I assume somewhere it's important somewhere. I just haven't found that person yet.
I guess it affects reputation more than anything because it's obviously not a running service if there's no server listing on that host name anymore.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned if it was a B2C site. If you're going to consumers, I can see where the confusion comes in, where it might be more risky. But for B2B and for most SaaS apps where we live in our world, I don't know if it's as much of a problem. Phishing attacks, though, that's what these things for. Just fish, I guess.
Right.
The Azure DDoS protection team has released their 2020 in review blog post, which is always interesting because they talk about how much DDoS traffic is increasing. And so they say in 2020 that DDoS traffic increased 50%. With increased complexity and a significant increase in the volume of DDoS traffic. They say they mitigated 500 unique attacks a day and a total mitigating upwards of 200,000 unique DDoS attacks against Azure infrastructure. And the peak period was between March and April with the onset of the COVID-19 outbreak as countries across the globe implemented lockdowns. During this time, they mitigated 800 to 1,000 attacks a day. In 2020, Azure observed a trend toward high volume attacks with shorter durations, which is interesting because one of the things we talk about in DDoS is typically length of time. But they're actually showing that 53% of them were under 10 minutes in length, which is really interesting and potentially come repetitively. Highest attack bandwidth on a single IP detected was 1 terabytes per second. In other instances, they mitigated a reflection attack of 1.6 terabytes per second against multiple customers. The UDP flood and reflection attacks have also increased this year, and they also protected 3 zero-day attacks, including the Electrum DDoS malware DVR exploitation reflection attack and the Mac OS vulnerability reflection attack with WSD. And they're saying that if you don't have DDoS protection, it can cost you up to $5,600 a minute in lost productivity and revenue to your business. So definitely have a strategy for DDoS.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the best advantages of being in the cloud is that it seems like a perfect opportunity for hyperscalers to give you protection. It's like an insurance policy, right? Protect all their customers with the DDoS solution so that you don't all individually have to build it out because it's so short in duration, but it's so impactful from a resource standpoint. It's just perfect reason to be on a big cloud provider.
I'm just mad because DDoS attacks just don't seem to have so much benefit to the attackers. So it's like, I get it. You take down a company, you get to be boastful. But, you don't see a lot of the ransom type of thing, attacks anymore and that kind of thing. It's just largely to be disruptive.
I wonder how many times they're just Trojan horses, right? Like they're distracting you from the real attack, which is happening elsewhere in your infrastructure. Or, like they're trying to break something in to inject a payload that's going to sit there dormant for weeks and then all of a sudden wake up and cause other problems. So I do agree. They look very much on the surface like they're just annoyances, but they could potentially be shields for other malicious activity that you're just not paying attention to because you're so busy attacking or dealing with a DDoS attack.
Hello, I'm Mark, co-founder and chief product officer at OpenRaven. OpenRaven is a cloud security platform that's data aware. We continuously monitor for data security policy violations and potential compliance issues, such as personal information in unencrypted databases and GDPR data on EU data subjects being stored in jurisdictions that require specific security controls. Get notified immediately with email, text, or Slack, or drive incident management workflows by sending data through AWS EventBridge to your security orchestration and event management tools. You can quickly visualize and triage policy violations using the OpenRaven console and easily automate workflows to resolve the violation and prevent data loss before it happens. Visit openraven.com/thecloudpod to learn more and start a free trial to discover, classify, monitor, and protect the data you have in the cloud.
That's it for new news. Peter, you want to take us to lightning round?
Let's go to lightning round, and let me just tell you, I'm not going to determine the winner solely on the first one, but I'm expecting some doozies here.
We didn't cover the Oracle news, though.
Oh, yeah. First, let's cover the Oracle news.
There is Oracle news.
Okay.
There is Oracle news this week.
Moving on to the lightning round. Do you know of Oracle news?
They're not buying TikTok after all.
Oh, yeah, they don't have to buy TikTok now. They're not being forced into that marriage with the shotgun anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Instead, yeah.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, apparently that happened earlier in the week. They said that the TikTok purchase is dead. I think we should cover that.
I was just buying
On
time.
to the lightning round.
Just buying time to think of something for the lightning round.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
really.
I mean, I do have some Oracle stories in the lightning round, so you do get your chance to talk about Oracle.
There you go. Let's start with the story we already talked about. Azure Defender for App Service introduces dangling DNS protection.
Because protecting the dangling things is super important.
You always protect the dangling things with socks.
With socks.
I got nothing on this one.
Of all the things have nothing on. The guy who has something for everything.
The Systems Operations Center, the SOC. You're protecting. Well, never mind.
Oh, I got it.
I understood what you said. I just left it out after that.
It's just a guy announcing availability for the Oracle Roving Edge infrastructure for U.S. government customers.
I mean, that's the only data center they can actually get that works, that one that roves.
I have my idea. It's a van. It drives
It's
around.
a van, yeah. It just drives around. It's for the government.
It's a VW van, isn't it? With a hippie camping in the back, cooking bacon.
It better have a wizard on the side of it.
Now I understand how Oracle gets so many regions up so quickly. It's just a van. They just drive it where they want to be.
Yeah.
They do the press release, they do the dog and pony show, then the van drives away to the next region, and no one notices because no one used the region they were in. So.
Someone needs to sing the Scooby-Doo theme song right now.
I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for your dastardly kids.
Work for those damn kids. You can use bash scripts to refresh an Oracle autonomous database with this post.
Because nothing says AI like bash scripts.
Mm-hmm. Super modern, autonomous bash scripts. Skynet is a lot simpler than I would have imagined.
Yeah, I didn't realize I could code it, so that's good.
There is a new digital curriculum for managing Amazon S3.
I mean, the fact that you need a whole curriculum to manage a simple storage service is a bit of a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Application load balancers now support application cookie stickiness.
Seems like a way to get sticky. Unlike that dangling DNS problem, which also you could get sticky on.
Yeah, you want that to get unstuck is what you want.
Yeah.
AWS App Mesh now supports mutual TLS authentication.
I'm mutually going to agree not to use this feature.
Yeah. It is mutual that this will cause an interruption that I do not want to troubleshoot.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it the whole point of App Mesh? MTLS? Isn't that the whole point?
Not really. It's one of those things where you're declaring your connection, you're providing the visibility by kind of codifying it. And so you get some abilities there, but this is really just this thing's allowed to talk to me. I'm allowed to talk to it.
Yeah.
Developers said, hey, I want to be able to tag my resource and do network rules based on tags. And so they made this whole app mesh thing. They said, hey, you're going to tag that as a web server. This is going to be tagged as a database server. We're going to create a rule that makes tags talk to each other. And then the developer's not going to tag it anyways. So the whole thing was pointless.
Well, so you're forgetting the second half is because now they could tag a thing, even though they won't.
Right.
Security is all upset, right? Because, they could just tag it, and then it's communication
course.
willy-nilly. So they got to do mutual TLS. So it's a whole bunch of things you'll never use to protect you in a situation you'll never be in.
Yeah, but on the diagram, it gets right through the audits for encrypt everything.
Yeah, it's true.
It does,
true.
yeah.
Right? MTLS. No. MTLS, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Need some kind of controller to manage all that stuff for you.
While we're on the topic of AppMesh, AWS announced AppMesh controller for Kubernetes version 1.3.0 with, you guessed it, MTLS support.
Wonder if these announcements are related.
I think they're mutually exclusive. I don't know. They weren't tagged together, so they can't talk to each other, Ryan. That's how it works.
No.
Amazon VPC customers can now customize reverse DNS for their elastic IPs.
I mean, but it's so much more fun to blame Amazon for all the world's problems because this is coming from a reverse DNS to Amazon.
AWS backup events and metrics are now available in Amazon CloudWatch.
This will make compliance teams happy.
Backup succeeded.
Gotta love those.
Backup failed.
Backup.
Backup succeeded.
Backup succeeded. Restore impossible.
So what does that even look like, the CloudWatch metric? Like, backup succeeded in last 10 minutes equals 1, and that's the alert, basically. It doesn't equal 1, and then I don't even know how to do a threshold on that. It's a true or false Boolean. Like, it's a weird choice. Okay.
I would love it if the compliance controls, were stated in such where if there was a backup, it was successful, in the last 3 out of 5 times. Great, but it's not.
No. And then the compliance team wants to know why that backup failed on November 5th, 2017. And you're like, I have no idea. Like, well, you have to tell us because it's a SOC violation. I'm like, I can't help you with this problem.
That's not in the
Jupiter
control. The
was
control
in orbit,
is that I get alerted.
There was a solar flare. Mercury is in retrograde. I mean, that's why these things fail. I just can't help you.
The next one succeeded. We're fine.
Well, we need to restore to that point. Well, that was 3 years ago. I'm going to apologize to the customer profusely, and we're going to move on.
Speaking of patch management and AWS Patch Manager, you can now take actions before and after patching to improve safety during patch installation.
I mean, they've always had this feature. It was just part of auto-scaling. You wrote a batch script in the beginning that basically patched the box when you built it and then terminated the box when it was over, and then you just didn't worry about patching. But people don't seem to understand that concept. So here we are with a pre- and post-validation patching.
So this is super important because what you do is you say, this is because of patching, and you just write that to the logs.
Right.
And then if no one sees that, then you just fine. But when that patch has broken your entire system, that's going to be the last thing.
So this also solves the last one for me too, Ryan. Thank you for that. The backup failed because of the patching.
It's in the logs.
It's in the logs. Look at the logs for me. Thanks.
Now generally available, soft delete for Azure file shares is now on by default for new storage accounts.
Dangling, soft, Azure. Just a rough week.
These are Windows features if I've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how they could just keep you spending your money without realizing it as a feature.
It's on by default too, so you thought you deleted it, but nope, you're still paying for it.
Nope.
Brilliant.
They're going to need some dangling protection after they do that bill.
Also generally available, start-stop functionality for Azure Database for MySQL.
Because apparently SQL Server doesn't need stop-start, but MySQL does. Come on, Azure. Give me what I actually want, which is MS SQL.
But if you stop that, then you stop paying for the license.
Right. That's why they don't want you to have that. It'd be nice if it also performed faster when you restarted it, but I don't know if they have that capability.
And to wrap the session up, additional IOPS feature for Azure MySQL Flexible Server is now in public preview.
And if I could start my Azure database for MySQL into this new IOPS feature, then that'd be cool.
You too could spend all of your money.
Right. And then I could soft delete it thinking I saved the money, but I didn't.
But you did.
And then I get mad about the danglies.
No, you delete your whole stack and you create a dangling DNS entry.
I don't know.
See, it's all. This is how this all happens.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a dangling DNS entry, right? If you pointed a load balancer to MySQL and then deleted MySQL in anger on a soft delete, I should get a SOC alert in Defender for that. You are 1,000% correct.
How about a soft decrease of IOPS so that you think you decreased the IOPS, but you're still paying for them?
I mean, like, it's a revenue play if I've ever seen one. Like, how do we grow Azure revenue? Everything's a soft delete.
And to avoid any backlash, I'm going to declare the winner Jonathan for no particular reason.
To avoid backlash, you say. I see.
To avoid it.
What did I say? To guarantee it?
He's soft deleted that guarantee. That's what happened.
Soft delete it.
I think Justin should have went for the mutually exclusive thing, or what was the other one? Just recently, we all
Speaking of security operation centers.
Okay. What about them? I'm sorry. I missed.
Oh, nothing.
Put the socks on the danglies.
It's fine.
We've established.
Well, last week we talked about that there was something coming up in a conference, and since it's COVID time, we're like, we don't know time frames anymore. So I went and did the research for you all. And so a couple things I learned. First of all, Microsoft has already announced that all Microsoft conferences through July 2021 will be digital, which means that the one that I mentioned that's coming up, which is Microsoft Ignite, is March 2nd through the 4th. And that'll be a digital conference available to anybody who wants to go sign up for free online and available to you. I also found out that Microsoft Build is tentatively scheduled for May 19th through the 21st, although they haven't released or formally confirmed those dates yet, so don't take that for anything beyond what I said right now. And then I also found out that AWS reInvent apparently thinks they're going back to Vegas. November 29th through December 3rd is on their website. They are saying it is going to be in Vegas. Having been the fact that they were the last one to bail out of doing an in-person conference, I am not entirely shocked. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's Amazon, so I get it. But if all of these guys, they probably have the best chance of a conference happening because of how far out it is. And if they actually can get vaccines out in the summer, like they say they are going to, maybe it could happen if you get vaccinated and you're willing to.
As we learned from last week in their earnings release, they actually turned a profit on reInvent. So it's a money-making enterprise for them.
Yeah. Google Cloud Next is apparently supposed to be June 28th through the 30th. That is not yet confirmed or announced by Google yet, but someone had found on Mosconi's website that they have it reserved from June 28th through the 30th, at least for in-person, which June will not happen most likely. So that'll be digital again or delayed until the fall, just like they did with Google Cloud Next Digital, which took 19,000 weeks of 2020.
I thought it was still going.
It might be still going. It's very possible. And then, of course, Oracle Open World, which is trying to do its first kickoff ever in Las Vegas after moving to San Francisco, has no dates out yet of when they're going to do their conference, if it will happen in 2021. So we'll keep an eye on those things. We'll let you know. But if you're interested in Microsoft Ignite, coming up very soon. So we'll sign up right away for that, March 2nd through the 4th of 2021. There you go. Anything you guys want to share? Dumbfounded looks on their faces like, what?
Yep.
What? There's homework?
Who?
What homework?
There's stuff outside the house. I didn't realize.
Well, I mean, it's still in the house, but outside the work at your house, I guess, is how you look at that. But I mean, like, if we can go to a conference in person, we can give stickers away. So I'd love to do that.
I would love to do that. Sweet Jesus, would I love to do that.
I finally got the shipping ready for your stickers you bought. And everyone else who bought stickers. I have a list of 10 or 12 people who want stickers, and so I had to ship them off. So I'll be going to the post office very soon. So if you haven't got it, it's not like I forgot about you. I was just kind of batching them into one batch so I don't have to go multiple times. And since the sale, I think, ends by the time this comes out, or will be over by the time this comes out, I will ship those out.
I got my AWS Community Builder swag in the mail yesterday.
Very cool.
I got a new hat
to
replace my red hat that I had to throw away. And what else did I get? I got some of the pointless stuff that people would seem to think everyone needs. Like I've got a whole cupboard full of coffee cups and insulated things and that kind of
crap. Did you get a beer insulator? Because that's one I was paid to get. I'm like, I'm never going to remember this beer insulator ever.
Mouse pads. I hate mouse pads.
Yeah, mouse
like
pads
sweet Jesus, give me like a free mouse pad. Like,
I mean, we had to decide if we're going to do a prediction show for Ignite. Azure is so lame on these, though. I'm hesitant to do that. Maybe instead we could just tell everyone, top 5 worst swag items or something. That'd be more fun.
Might be more interesting.
It might be more interesting, yeah. So we'll talk about that offline. We'll figure out if we're going to do an Ignite prediction show. I doubt it.
My prediction for Ignite is that they're going to introduce a new level of network support level, performance and cost more
extra
money.
Premium.
Well, extra premium, yeah.
Uber.
I mean, they haven't done anything in 2020, so hopefully they do something soon because the announcements are pretty lackluster. So
yeah.
All right, guys. It's been another fantastic week in the cloud. I'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
And that is the Week in Cloud. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Foghorn Consulting. Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and tweet us your feedback at #TheCloudPod. Or join our Slack channel, go to our website, thecloudpod.net for sign-up instructions.